Hey, what's happening, roadies? This is Joel Anke.
Hey, everyone. This is Rebecca Wilson.
What's happening, roadies? This is Stephen Charley Cohen, and you're listening to Roadie Free Radio.
What's up, roadies? My name is Larry Milburn, and this is Roadie Free Radio, your VIP pass to meet and greet the stars behind the scenes of the music and film business. All right. What's happening, roadies? Welcome to the show. Episode number 84 here. We got Larry Milburn, your host, sitting at the kitchen table on a pre-wintry day in Connecticut, Northwest Connecticut to be exact. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for returning. And if you're a new listener, thank you for joining us. First, right off the bat, I don't know if you can tell in my voice, but I am sick. I've got bronchitis. I don't know if you saw the post that went out yesterday. I apologize. Today's episode is a day late in getting out. Usually like to get the shows out on Monday, but between the NAMM show, my crazy week afterward in LA, grabbing interviews, and then a quick trip up to Vermont with my son, I picked up some bronchitis and was down for the count up in Vermont, hanging out in an urgent care up there for about 2.5 hours before I got seen. Good times all around, but we're here, we're doing it, bringing you the show from the kitchen table. All right, what's going on? Listen, NAMM was unbelievable. Anaheim, oh my God. I've got to thank everybody for your support and everybody at the NAMM show and at Freeman Audio Visual for just opening your arms to us and letting us do our thing there. We had a really great time. It was amazing. As you know, it was my first time, and I don't even know where to start. It was overwhelming. It was inspiring. It was validating. It was tiring. It was just super cool. Everything from the Telefunken after party rooftop to Glow Marketing's party at the House of Blues Foundation room the first night, and just all the cool stuff that we got to do. And we got to see some great sponsors of ours, Telefunken, obviously, Air Turn. I've got a new sponsor I'm about to announce. Hang in there. And just really cool to meet a lot of folks like you that are listeners that I haven't had a chance to connect with face-to-face and hear your thoughts and get your positive vibes. I really, really, really can't thank you enough. And also to the guests that I usually just meet most of the time doing a Skype call with. I got to see so many of them finally in person and meet and give them a hug and say hello, and that was super cool. And ran into some other old guests, Greg Looper, Robert Scoville. I want to give a shout out to all the Tom Petty crew. Those guys swept the Parnellis this year. 9 awards, I believe it was. I didn't get to go, unfortunately, but they did a hell of a great job. And just all the people, Tanya O'Callahan I ran into, a lot of cool people. So thank you so much. And I have to give a shout out again to my amazing friends and crew that came out to help me shoot and gather this stuff. Charlie Crisa, Paloma Criollo, Roberto Crespo, Gina Bobina. Awesome. You guys really, I could not have done the week without you. And I knew the week at NAMM was going to be crazy, and I thought, well, the next week will be kind of chill. That's not at all what happened. I spent last week up in Sherman Oaks. I got 4 more amazing interviews. Let me tell you who's coming up, all right? We got Lucy Barankova coming up next week, episode number 85. Lucy's front of house, tour manager, production manager, tons of bands. She's been with Odessa, RZA from Wu-Tang. We got Derek Green coming up, lead singer of Sepultura. I had no idea who this guy was. Never listened to Sepultura. And I got to tell you, man, we met outside. I did the interview outside, and it was awesome. He is a sweet, sweet man, and I can't wait for you to hear that episode. Episode 87 coming up with Mary Broadbent, front of house, tour manager, production manager. She's a sound girl. She's currently out with Betty Who. And then episode 88 thus far is Mr. Norman Harris, owner of Norman's Rare Guitars in the Valley. Now listen, I was super psyched to sit down with Norman Harris. I've shopped in his store. Can't say I bought a vintage guitar, but I've shopped there. I got a t-shirt to prove it. And wow, man, what an institution this guy is. We had a great chat. He gave me an hour. I thought maybe I'd get 20 to 30 minutes. He gave me the hour, and we had a good time reminiscing about his career and his little mini empire that he has most definitely built. So stay tuned for all of those episodes. Speaking of people that we met, we have a new sponsor. We have a new sponsor on board. You've heard me talk about my buddy Daniel Shatsky's over at giggear.com. They are the makers of the Gig gloves. Daniel and I worked out a deal for everybody. He is now a new sponsor of Roadie Free Radio. I am super excited and proud to announce that. If you go to gig-gear.com, that's gig-gear.com, anything you buy in the store, from the gloves to his new product I'm going to tell you about, is 15% off when you use the code ROADIE, okay? Use the code ROADIE, get yourself 15% off. He makes the Gig gloves. They are an award-winning glove for the touring professional to protect your hands. The little fingertips pop off so that you can use your fingers but you on your iPad or iPhone, whatever you got, but you can still use the gloves with those pads on to do whatever you need to do. His new product is called the Two-Hand Touch. The Two-Hand Touch harness. I call this the over-the-shoulder tablet holder. You know what I'm saying? For all of you touring professionals, the Two-Hand Touch is an efficient and ergonomic solution that eliminates all of the problems of having to hold an iPad or tablet by putting it right where production pros need it to be, directly in front of them. So this basically holds your tablet right in front of you with a little harness, so you can do what you have to do to mix the show, mix the monitors, whatever it is, and not hold your iPad, worry about dropping it, or tie up one of your hands, all right? He's taking pre-orders for that right now. Your code will still work for your 15% off. They retail at $49.99. Go check it out. Use the code ROADIE at gig-gear.com. Super excited to have those folks on board the show. Now, what else did I have for you? Listen, I hope you enjoyed the panel video last week that we did, Keeping Concerts Safe, that I put up. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like to pull any punches. I don't think it was... The panel went well, all right? I'll just say the panel went well. We had some distractions up there. We tried to do the Skype call last minute. There was a few last-minute things we tried to throw in, and I wasn't overall happy with the production, let's say, okay? I think there were some audio issues. I was a little distracted by some things going on, like the Skype call, trying to get that thing to work, and so I couldn't fully focus, do my best with the panelists that we had up there to pay attention and be engaging with them. So for that part, I'm going to take responsibility. I like my shit to be tight, and I like it to be good. And I don't feel like I put 150% up on the board for you guys. But having said that, I hope you got something out of the panel discussion. We had a separate conversation after the panel in another room with some folks, and there were some representatives from the Event Safety Association that were there, Event Safety Alliance, and some folks who came that just wanted to know, about what they could do in their communities. We had a woman from, I can't remember the name of the university, but we had a woman who came as a representative from her university to figure out the types of things that they could do and they could employ to make their students safer during events that they had. And so we had a really lively conversation, a very informative conversation. Again, barely scratched the surface in an hour. So I hope that you guys, got something out of it. And if you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, please feel free to go ahead and hit me up. info@roadiefreeradio.com. Last thing I want to say before we get to Mr. Cohen, today's guest, I get all gushy and mushy about the support that you guys give for this show, because truly it's amazing to me. We've done so amazingly well in the past since January 1st. This show has grown. We've already done more numbers. We've had more listeners in the last 6 weeks than we had in the first 2 years of the show combined. Okay? More listeners in the last 6 to 8 weeks than we've had since the show started previously. All of last year, all of the first year in 2016, which was really only about half a year. But all of 2017, we've already blown that out of the water. So again, thank you for listening. I want to hear from you. Send me a note. All right? Hang in there with us. We got a lot of great content coming up, and we're going to be putting out those schedules soon. I do have some videos coming up from the NAMM show that I'm going to be posting shortly, so keep an eye out for those on our YouTube channel. A lot of fun stuff going up there, so keep an eye out. Today's guest is Stephen Charley Cohen, Mr. Guitar Tech. What a sweet guy, man. Oh, my God. What a sweet chat we had. Very nice guy. He's been with Sammy Hagar, Brian Setzer Orchestra, the Eagles, Cyndi Lauper, Maxwell, Don Henley Band, Keith Urban Band, Smashing Pumpkins, Bob Seger, Third Eye Blind, Rush, Collective Soul, Extreme, the Brecker Brothers, Paul Westerberg. Dude's old school. Sweet, sweet guy. And I've been babbling on for too long, so I'm going to get out of the way and let old Charley come on and tell you his story. All right? Thank you guys again. Enjoy this one. So kick back, get yourself a cup of coffee, do something. I'm going to shake this cold. And here we go. Mr. Stephen Charley Cohen.
Hit it. Call yourself a roadie. Call yourself a roadie. Call yourself a roadie.
How are things going? What are you in the middle of right now?
Waiting
for the call.
I've got an Eagles tour that starts up next month.
Yep.
Just killing time.
Nice. So let me ask you, because your resume goes back to about 1993 with the Brecker Brothers, which means you probably really started in about 1990, if not earlier, right?
Oh, well earlier than that.
Well earlier than that.
I started working in the clubs on the New Jersey club circuit in like 1981.
Okay.
Let's say. Worked for a few bands that were there. I mean, I worked for a band called White Tiger.
Yep.
That played a place in Jersey called the Fountain Casino.
Okay.
That was on Route 35 in Aberdeen Township. And it was just like a giant concert. It was more of a theater without seats. It actually had lighting trusses on motors.
Wow.
Which for a club was pretty unheard of. And this band White Tiger, which was a cover band, they wrote originals, but they never got very far. They were in the big room, and in the small room was a band called Ace, Atlantic City Expressway.
Okay.
Do you know whose band that was?
No.
John Bon Jovi's.
Oh, wow. Wait, I might have actually just heard that story on a radio. I think it was I-95 up here where I am. They just did like a little backstory between and him. So that I might have heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were in the lounge opening up for this band called White Tiger.
Wow.
Which, they actually still occasionally play, but they all have day jobs, and it's not a career for them anymore.
Yeah. Well, since you brought it up, I wanted to throw out, right off the bat. So you mentioned, you're not doing anything until next month when the Eagles head back out. How have you managed over the years to manage that downtime that we all get, and not go totally crazy, man? Have you learned to deal with it at this point?
I haven't gone totally crazy.
That's true. Shit. What am I thinking? You are a touring professional. You're probably nuts.
Sleep a little, sleep a lot. No, I don't know. I mean, I've been with my wife. We met at the end of 99. So around mid-2000, April of 2001 or so, I moved out to Michigan from New York. She's, we have family out here. She has family out here that have become my family.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm not on the road, I'm the chief cook and bottle washer,
Yep.
as my parents used to say.
Yep.
So,
And have you sort of come to the realization or the faith, I guess, that the phone will ring, the job will come, and there's peaks and valleys to this?
oh yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. That goes. Yeah, I mean, I think anybody who's done this more than 5 years realizes that. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's it's just part of it.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt to have a hobby. When I moved to Michigan, I did a bunch of, like, December and January is the auto show.
Mm-hmm.
Set up and tear out. I've done those. Yeah, I do like probably everyone else does to keep busy,
Yeah. Just a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
to not go absolutely nuts.
Yeah. So,
Sounds-
all right. So let's go back, man. So you're a Jersey guy.
New York.
New York. What part of New York? Manhattan?
I grew up in the Bronx.
In the Bronx. Cool. Big family, little family?
I suppose the average American family, mom, dad, one brother,
Yeah.
no sisters, just 2 kids. You know, it was me and my brother and my mom and dad.
Yeah. How old? Older brother? Younger brother?
Younger.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did he
Like,
follow suit? Is he in the biz also?
he had a short stay in it,
Okay.
but just moved on to other things.
Yeah.
It's life.
Yeah.
No, he did his thing. I did mine.
Yeah. Your journey into this whole thing, about how old were you when you discovered the guitar or an instrument that sparked it?
Well, when I started, I was okay. Going back as far as grade school, I don't even know how it happened, but when they needed to put the projection screen down in the auditorium, they came and got me.
Uh-huh.
If the principal or the assistant principal didn't know how to turn on the PA system for the building, I was in junior high school in a band class playing trumpet, and the phone rang on the teacher's desk, and he was cool. It was very loose. I said to him, "Hey, Lazarus, if that's for me, tell him I'm in the shower." Ha ha ha. Picks up the phone. He goes, "Hold on. I think he's in the shower." And they were looking for me to come turn on the PA system, and I am no sound man. Not even close. Never wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I was always, but I was also very active in the theater because that started. And then when I hit high school, I was on the stage crew. I had friends that went to the same school as me, and I ended up being the head stage tech on the senior class play. And
Yeah.
it's always been something. And when I was graduating high school, my idea was to get into television production.
Okay.
I really wasn't thinking about the music business. I was totally into the technical end of it. My high school was lucky enough in my senior English class had an elective that I could take television production.
Wow.
So they had 3 cameras, static,
Yeah.
a special effects generator. The teacher of the English class was also the teacher who ran the drama club.
Yep.
And I had already worked 3 years for him in the theater. So I kind of, if we were in the middle of a production and I stayed till 8, 9 o'clock at night, and his class was the first class in the morning, if I didn't show up, he didn't give me any grief.
Right.
As long as I got my work done and all that.
Yeah.
So graduating high school, I was going to Queens College, which is part of the City University of New York, which had a good communications department. So I was going for television production. That was what I was going to do.
Wow.
During the summer before the semester started, I went to see a friend of mine's band play at this place in Yonkers called the Rising Sun, which was about a block from Yonkers Raceway.
Okay.
And it was just a complete garage band place. And they said to me, hey, Tommy couldn't come do the show, run lights. So you want to do it? I said, yeah, sure.
To do lights?
Yeah, to run lights, because that's what I was doing in the theater and school. Yeah. And that's kind of where I was going at the time. The end of the show, this guy walks up to me and he goes, hey, man, and that was pretty good. I said, Tommy couldn't. He goes, no, I don't care. He goes, you want to work for my band? And I went, sure. Does it pay? He said, yeah, sure. We pay 20. This was 1980. So he goes, yeah, I'll pay you $20 a night.
Oh my God.
I mean, I was 18. Sure. I was going to start working for a band. And long story short about that guy, turns out he was telling the rest of the band that he was paying everybody in the crew $25 a night.
Ah.
So when they had to chip in because they didn't make enough money to cover the bills, he was actually ripping them off.
Jesus.
So, I mean, it was like typical full-on music business.
I was to say, you're baptized.
Yeah, exactly, right off the bat.
Wow.
And I probably worked for that guy. His band only was a couple of months, but I worked for him setting up lights and stuff for a few more months. And then a friend of mine called up and said, hey, this band White Tiger needs a band guy, a guitar tech, someone to set up drums. You want to do it? And I said, dude, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
He goes, oh, it's easy. Don't worry about it. I'll teach you. Okay. It paid a salary, minimum of 3 nights a week. Anything over 4 nights a week, we got a bump.
What were you making for them? You remember?
Oh yeah, that was $175 a week.
Wow, that's big money coming from $20
for 3
a
nights.
night.
I was 19, under the table,
Wow.
And if we did a 4th night, it went up to 200. After that, it was an extra 50 a night.
Wow.
If we didn't work that week, we still got paid.
That's fantastic. And mostly what, tri-state area gigs or what?
Yeah, New York, New Jersey, a little bit not too much Connecticut.
Yeah.
Mostly New York and New Jersey. L'Amour's,
Yep.
Factory, Hole in Wall.
Back in those days, you could there were a lot of clubs to go play, right?
Oh yeah, you could go out 5-6 nights a week.
Yeah.
Easy to see bands.
Yeah.
All the time.
That's fantastic. So you really kind of cut your teeth doing that stuff. And you were living at home still, and this is all that summer before you went to school?
Well, I started that and then that was 81, let's say. When I started working for that band, that was White Tiger.
Yep.
They said to me, if you take the gig, you have to be able to go to New Orleans in February of 82 because they were from New Orleans originally.
Okay.
And they felt like they were saturating the Jersey market. The guys in the band, the guy who ran the band, this guy Danny, brilliant businessman. Good guitar player, good musician, but brilliant businessman. And he knew they were saturating the market. Figured if we leave for 2 months, when we come back, they'll be able to start demanding more from the club owners. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they were doing I don't know, back in the day, probably about $4,000 or $5,000 a night.
Wow.
Which for a club band, well, they were right up there at the same time as like Twisted Sister and Zebra.
Okay.
So they were selling places out by 10 o'clock. And then you'd be waiting outside in the club, outside the club to get in.
Sure. And for those guys, you were doing everything.
I was doing the entire back line.
Wow.
Guitar player, bass player, drummer. Never touched any of it when I started. Learned on the fly.
And how technical did you have to get, with the guitars? Was it just changing strings? Was it pulling out pickups? Fixing an amp?
At that point, those guys carried their own guitars to and from the gigs.
Okay.
Pretty much. I'd have to change broken strings. Pedal boards. No switcher systems. It was all pretty basic. But like this guy, Danny, I mean, he was the kind of guy that if something stopped working, you had to figure it out before he could.
Right.
Because if it was a pedal came unplugged, if you couldn't get to his feet before he could, he'd pick up the pedal and throw it. And then he'd just throw it out of the way and then repatch it.
Right.
So you learn, there was no checking out the crowd to look at the hot chicks.
Right.
Or be distracted by someone asking you if you wanted a shot.
Right.
We're in the bars.
Sure.
And it really was a great place to learn.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, first night on the job with the guy, the drummer busted the kick drum head in the middle of the show. So I took the head off, I put it back on. It's all nut and bolt.
Yep.
I've always been mechanical. So I did the swap over, and the drummer said to me, he goes, "Listen, we're right in the middle of the show." He goes, "Let me tune it, because you just started working for me. You don't know what I want it to sound like." So I just watched. I just paid attention to what he was doing, and that's how I learned how to do it.
Wow.
I actually told the guitar player, Danny, that he had to stop breaking high E strings, because every time he broke one, it would take me 3 to change it, because I would break them. So I didn't know what I was doing.
Sure.
I really didn't. I hadn't, it was the first guitars I ever touched.
Wow.
And he laughed at me. This was after a show in a club, and, it was a pretty good night, but I had said, "Man, you really got to stop this." And he just laughed at me, slapped me on the back, and told me that was the funniest thing he ever heard, and walked away. And I'm going, "No, but dude, I'm not kidding here. I'm being really serious."
Yeah.
And he just kept walking.
Yeah. Figure it out, kid.
It was the truth.
Right.
So,
what an amazing experience. So how long did it last with those guys?
They broke up probably the end of 82, 83.
So it was like a couple. Did you do the Nashville gig? I mean, did you do the New Orleans gig?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I spent all of February down there. We were there through just past Mardi Gras. And then we probably went back at the end of April or May.
Yeah.
April, beginning of May, for another 6 or 8 weeks. So to play some more stuff.
And at this point, did you end up going to school or no?
No. Well, I went for a semester. Maybe 2 semesters. I went.
Okay.
Set up for the 3rd semester worth of classes and financial aid. And then the band broke up, and I had no way to pay the bill.
Wow.
So the school said, "Well, you can go because you've already signed and you've made the commitment. So you can go to the classes, but we're not going to give you any credit for it, and you're still going to owe us the money."
Ugh.
And I said, "Well, then why am I going?
Right.
I got to get to work."
Right.
And I just started working. There was a handful of bands that I worked for on the Jersey club circuit. There was a band called Prophet.
Mm-hmm.
Actually put out 3 records on Megaforce Atlantic in the late 80s. I mean, probably 88 was probably the first national tour I did with those guys.
Wow. What was that like for you?
It was a trip.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was 26.
Right. Old man at that point.
Well, I was 26. Everything was cool. My parents were totally behind me.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how were your folks? When you started out doing this, you had a future. You were going to go to school. You were going to get into TV production, and now you're hanging with this white tiger. You're going to these clubs. Yeah. What'd your old man think of that?
He said, "You're making a living, and you come home, and you haven't been arrested yet. Just keep going. If you're liking it and you're enjoying it." Him and my mom were totally both behind me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they were very cool. If we played close enough, my dad passed away in 85. Okay. So he never really saw me get onto the tour circuit. My mom passed away in 2003. I mean, when she used to come, if the gig was nearby, she'd come out.
That's awesome.
It was great. Everybody I worked for always treated her like their mom.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go I mean, she didn't get to, she passed away right before I got the Eagles gig.
Okay.
But I mean, when I worked for Rush in '96, she came out and we were playing in Long Island, and my mom said, "You want me to bring anything to the gig for you?" So I said, "Geez, I don't know. You know, you want to pick me up some bagels from the neighborhood from my favorite store? Go ahead, bring, whatever." I didn't know what to say.
Sure.
So Getty said to me, because I took care of Getty.
Yeah.
He said, "So I hear your mom's coming out." I said, "Yeah." He goes, I want to meet her. I said, "Okay, great." So I told her, and she ended up cooking for him. She brought him chicken soup.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, she's cooking for him, she's bringing him food, and if she went to the store and bought me a dozen bagels. And but she met him, she had a great time.
That's so cool.
She wasn't afraid.
Right.
She wasn't impressed. It's like, "Oh, so you're Geddy Lee." She's like, "Yeah, I'm your son's boss."
That's
She's like,
right.
"Oh, that's nice."
Yeah. Moms don't care as long as you're taking care of my kid.
Yeah. And I mean, when I worked for Collective Soul for 10 years.
Yeah.
Those guys treated her like one of their moms.
That's so cool.
Really. Yeah, I've been lucky enough to work for, I'd say 95% of the people I've worked for have been fantastic, amazing.
Well, you've worked with some heavy hitters, man. I mean, let's just do a quick rundown. All right, here we got the Brecker Brothers Extreme in '93, by the way, which was like kind of pretty prime time for them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe 90, 91 was the real prime, but they were still riding it by then.
Yeah, the extreme stuff I did with them was opening up for Aerosmith overseas.
That's a pretty good gig.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were in Paris at the Bercy.
Yeah.
And I remember we were done. I came back in. I'm looking around the arena. Steven, the band's on, and they were slamming. That was Pump.
Uh-huh.
Their Pump record.
Yeah, oh yeah. For Aerosmith, that was a big time for Aerosmith.
Oh my God, they were amazing.
Yeah.
And I remember looking around going, yeah, life don't suck. I mean, really, I don't know why it stands out.
Yeah.
That place so much, but
yep. Well,
yeah, they were something. But that was the drummer on that was Mike Mangini.
Okay.
Not the original drummer.
Right.
Which was Paul, and then I also took care of
Pat Badger.
Pat Badger, the bass player.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I imagine from about 86-ish to 93, when you really start kicking in here, you figured out a thing or two about guitars and basses and drums, right?
It probably was more, yeah. I mean, 1990 was Taylor Dane, Firehouse, and Lita Ford.
Damn.
So took care of Bill Leverty on Firehouse.
Mm-hmm.
And on Lita, I took care of, she had a guitar player, I think it was Jim Taylor, I think was his name, and the keyboard player who was David Ezrin.
Okay.
Who was Bob Ezrin's son.
Yep.
Who's, I think he's, sadly, I think he passed away a few years ago, David.
So where would you say in those few peeps you just mentioned, between them and going back to like 86, 87, where was the kind of crossover? Where was the part where you kind of got plucked out of that, sort of local regional thing into the national touring spot, and when you felt like, okay, I'm fucking getting somewhere with this? Maybe it was yesterday. You finally felt that way.
Well, sometimes.
Yeah.
No, I mean, honestly, 88, when I worked with that band Prophet, I started making connections there were guys when part of the Prophet tour, and I worked for them in the clubs for like 4 years, probably. Well, yeah, 3 or 4 years in the clubs. I ran into guys. We did a short run with Leatherwolf.
I don't know them.
No? Okay. Well, they were like a Southern Cal, metal band. But I met guys who are still in a bit, little sad.
Okay.
There was a guy, I don't know if you know Val Jean Liker.
No.
Val was a guitar tech
Okay.
who passed away a couple of years ago. It's a bad situation. That's all I can really say.
Okay.
Just because otherwise you're going to have me crying here.
Yep.
He was a really good friend. But I met him on that.
Mm-hmm.
Then he worked for Warrant, who Firehouse opened up for. We just became really good friends on that. And there's a guy named Paul Bassett, who's a drum tech, works with Kiss, and just did Bob Seger with him last year.
Yep.
And I met him on that. And that would be the year I would say that I became more than just a New York, New Jersey guitar tech.
Yeah. And
Plus,
I imagine your skills started growing.
Pardon me?
I imagine your skill set started growing, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked for Kicks in '89,
Uh-huh.
the band, not for a good time. And they opened up for Whitesnake
Uh-huh.
for 6 weeks. And I became kind of friendly with, not friendly, but on the road friendly with a guitar tech named Stan Schiller,
Okay.
who was Steve Vai's tech at the time.
Wow.
He taught me stuff,
Yeah.
I picked up stuff out of him, because I've never really been one to be afraid to go, hey, I don't know how to do this.
Right.
Can you help me out with this?
Right. Keep breaking an E string. Can you hook me up with?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, once I learned how to use the tuner properly.
Right. Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I talked to some folks and they're we talk about sort of the etiquette when you're new and you're starting out and you're getting exposed to new people and new things, sort of how you maneuver your way through that and through talking to some of the older guys or gals to say, hey, can you help me out when to ask, when it's appropriate to do that.
It has changed so much.
Yeah.
The whole old school, there's old school things that used to go on that you probably well know that I'm not even getting into.
Yeah.
Greasing wheels.
Right.
And nowadays, it cracks me up sometimes. I'm on Facebook, and I'm a member of BobNet.
Okay.
Bob Davis.
No.
And you should look it up. It's cool. It's an industry group. You have to be a touring pro to be on the site.
Okay.
And every day, I'll be online and I'll see, hey, who's got a contact for?
Yeah.
What do I do? It's like, and I even said to one of my friends, I said, how did we learn how to do this back in the day when we didn't have the internet?
Right.
You couldn't just go on and ask for the the Marshall rep's name.
Right.
You had to dig. You had to be friendly. You had to endear yourself to people.
Yeah.
And I don't mean kissing ass.
No. You have to show them
that you were serious.
Yeah.
Stuff like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it's no different really than, staying in music, right? If you wanted to learn about a band, you had to get in your car or get a lift or take a bus or walk to a record store and flip through some records, right? Or borrow someone's tape or steal an 8-track tape or something, not just plug in a name to a computer and have access to all of their music all of a sudden.
Right. Yeah.
Which has its, thing, but you had to do a little work. You had to study that album cover. You had to read the liner notes.
I just like the old school.
Yeah.
It's true.
So you kind of figured that out, and you learned when to ask questions and when to keep your mouth shut, as it were.
Yeah.
Right.
And how to play the game on the road.
Yeah.
Because, when people are breaking your chops, it's because they like you.
Right.
It's totally different than the real world.
Right.
Yeah. Because when someone's giving you a hard time and teasing you or just pranking on you, that's because they figure you can handle it and they like you.
Right.
When people don't like you in this business, nobody talks to you.
Right. They just cut you off, right?
Do with you. Yeah.
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 Have you had that?
Had my balls broken? Tons.
Well, no, not your balls broken. I'm sure you've had your balls broken and broken some balls. But have you been on the other side?
No.
No?
Not too much.
Yeah.
Maybe at the start of a gig until you prove yourself.
Right.
But no, I've been pretty lucky with stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. I've managed to get along with everybody. And even with people, I've gotten into nose-to-nose discussions, let's just say. And then 2 days later, we're best friends. Because he didn't back down from his point. I didn't back down from my point. We figured it out. And then it was like, okay, well, you got to show that person respect.
And you also don't have much of a choice, right? Because you got 50 more dates or whatever the hell it is in front of you, and someone's either going to go home or you're going to get along.
Yeah.
You're kind of at war here together, right?
Yeah, you're in a battle, so to speak. I mean, let's face it, we're not saving lives, but we're helping make lives a little more tolerable, I think.
Yeah.
Like someone said to me, we're not curing cancer here. If it mucks up, it mucks up.
Right.
We'll fix it and we'll get it better tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
yeah.
So let's talk a little bit now about artist tech relationship, because you've had some sick again, just kind of going through your list here, right? We got Bob Seger. He's been on the road a long time, right? We got Collective Soul, he's 10 years. Cyndi Lauper, the Eagles. With the Eagles, you've swung from Don Henley to Timothy B. Schmidt, Jim Moose Brown, Stuart Smith.
Yeah, Jim Brown was Bob Seger.
Jim Brown, Bob Seger, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Smashing Pumpkins, Billy Corgan. I mean, it's just fucking Sammy Hagar, Van Halen. I mean, you put some time in with some people at the top of their game. So let's just talk a little bit about that relationship with some seasoned pros.
Okay.
The trust there, and what that relationship looks like at the end of a long run, and what that relationship looks like at the beginning when you get that first call from someone like, let's say, a Sammy Hagar, who's like, hey, I need somebody new or whatever, when you first meet them, and what you start to try to figure out about them.
Well, I mean, all right. Well, here's a Getty story. It was 1991. I was on the road with Firehouse. One of my best friends at the time, we were relatively, I had only known him for about a year and a half or so. Skip Gildersleeve.
Okay.
Who was Getty's tech for 15, 16 years.
Wow.
Right? You look on the records, I mean, they always list everybody and all that. And he was there and he said, listen, I'm trying a different position in the organization. Can I, do you want to check into it? I said, yeah. Are you kidding me? Of course. So I had a day off. I was in Florida and it was back. I was working for Firehouse. We shared rooms back at that time. I woke up late and hungover on the bus, dragged my butt to the room, and my roommate says to me, hey, some guy, Gary something, I don't know, Gary Lee. I went, Getty Lee? He goes, yeah, that was the name. He goes, yeah, he called looking for you. And I went, what? First of all, no cell phones in 91.
Right.
Hotel room. Found me in Florida somehow.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, what did he say? Well, he's going to call you back in about 4 hours. I'm like, okay, I got time to get something to eat, shower, try to get rid of this hangover. So I called room service, order up, a cheeseburger and fries, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to go jump in the shower and the phone rings. So I grab the phone and I go, hello? He says, yeah, this is Getty again. I just want to leave a message for Steve. I went, instead of going, okay, let me take the message. I go, well, this is Steve. He goes, oh, hey, your roommate said. I said, yeah, I was in the bus. I said, what can I do for you? He goes, well, if you have time, I'd like to chat. So I went, sure. So we talked. He said, okay, I'll have Liam, their tour manager at the time, he'll get back to you by the end of the week, let you know what I'm thinking. So, because I do have 2 other people to talk to.
Okay.
I said, fair enough. So we hung up, and I was like, oh, that sucked. That did not go over well.
Yeah.
So a couple of days later, I get a page. I call Liam back. He goes, listen, Getty really liked talking to you, but he felt like you were seemed like a little nervous. So he's gonna pass, but if the guy that we're gonna try doesn't work out, we'll call you, and you'll be next on the list. Wow. I said, all right. I said, damn. I said, that sucks. I said, I was, and I told him I was a little hungover and blah, blah, blah. He goes, don't worry about it. It's fine. He did like you, but he just felt like you seemed a little nervous, and it just put a little speck of doubt in him.
Yep.
So, all right, whatever. So fast forward to 1996, and I was out on Bob Seger, the production manager at that time, whose name Craig Blazier, was about to be Rush's production manager. That was his next gig. So I was in the production office at the time, and I heard him talking to Liam, and I said, hey, tell him I'm working for you. And tell him that if they need a bass tech, tell him to send Getty my way, because I'm not the same nervous guy that I was 5 years ago. Just tell him to bring it. And he hands me the phone. He goes, tell him yourself. So I said, hey, Liam, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. He goes, oh, yeah, sure, I remember. I said, and I just told him the same thing. Yeah. Tell him to bring it. He goes, really? I said, yeah, tell him to bring it. I'm not the same guy I was.
Fucking New York.
Right? Like yeah, exactly. The backbone just came screaming out. And a couple of days later, I get a call from Liam, and he goes, well, I got good news, and I got some good news and some other news. I said, well, what's that? He goes, Getty doesn't really want to talk to you. I said, oh. So is that the good news? He goes, no, the good news is he wants me to offer you the job. He said, if that's the way you're going to be, then he said, bring it too.
Oh, shit.
I went, okay. So I get there, and we worked everything out. We get into rehearsals, and we're talking about first day we met. First day we're there. And we're talking about stuff, and he says, I'm very particular. I like things the way I like things and all that. And I went, okay, great. If I may. And he said, of course. I said, so I'm not a mind reader, and I want to be here to make things as right as I can for you. So if I don't do something right, I need you to tell me that this should have been over here, or that should have been there, or we need it like this. I said, because I'm here to make sure you don't have to worry about anything but playing. I said, so I need you to help me with that. Mm-hmm. I said, because again, I'm not a mind reader, but I will work my butt off for you, and I will make sure that everything's as perfect as I can make it for you.
Yeah.
And he just kind of looked at me and said, okay, let's go. And I've used that line with Billy Corgan, gave me one of, the look back like, really? He said, well, then you need to be prepared for the answers. I said, bring it. Let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, really, again, we're not putting out fires.
Yeah.
We are, but we're not curing cancer here. We're not saving lives.
You're not putting out real fires.
If if you don't get along with someone, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's not the end of the world.
Right. But at the end of the day, like you said, you're there to help them just focus on the music. So if they just gave you a modicum of assistance to tell you what they need, they can fly, right?
Right. Yeah. Tell me once.
Yeah.
Tell me once. I mean, I used to carry a little folding notepad, little spiral flip pad in my pocket, and a pen all the time, on new gigs.
Yeah.
Because I don't want you to tell me something. I mean, I've had guys look at me and go, "You got to write that down?" I said, "Yeah." Because this way I don't forget.
Right.
And you won't have to bring it up again.
Right.
Okay, we'll see.
Right.
And it's worked.
Yeah.
It's worked.
Yeah. That's awesome. Let me ask you this, if I may, about Don Henley and the Eagles and whatnot.
No comment.
No, right off the bat, no comment?
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, so look at the resume, right? The first time you were out with them looks like 2003. You were Don Henley and Timothy's. You were Timothy's bass tech, Don Henley's guitar tech.
Right.
Then in 2005, you circled back with Don Henley, but you're with Frank Symes and Lance Morrison.
That was his solo band.
That was the solo band. Okay.
Right.
And then again, now you've been with them since about 2006 as the Eagles and Don Henley for Stewart.
Right.
Okay. So have you continued to be Don's tech?
No.
Okay.
No.
So my question
Don's tech, it's a bit of a it's a bit of a complicated situation in a certain respect. Stewart's a full-time guy during the show.
Okay.
We change guitars almost every song, for sounds, tunings.
Yeah.
It's especially between the Eagles and even on Don's solo shows.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
There's open tunings, there's capos.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of stuff. So he's a full-time thing. Don plays a lot of guitar now, but his drum tech for the longest time was doing the actual handoffs for it. Even during the Eagles in 2003, I would string and tune his guitars, drop them off with his drum tech, and he would do more of the handoffs.
Okay.
And I would still do some.
Yeah.
Because there were songs where he was having to reset different snare drums because Don was playing guitar,
right?
And Scott Craigo, the other drummer / percussionist, would play drums.
So it's a bit more of a logistical stage thing.
Yes, there was a huge amount of that.
Yeah,
going on.
So my I guess part of my question was, is that weird? So have you not been Don's guy since about 2003? Is it weird to be within the, let me get the question out so I can make myself happy about it, because
okay.
I'm fucking it all up. Is it weird to be within the same organization but not be that guy's tech anymore?
No.
That makes sense? Okay.
Yeah.
All
no, right. Not at all.
Okay. I mean, at the end of the day, you're still in the fucking organization.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, very much. The end of 2003, we were told that they weren't going to tour in 2004. There was no plans. They were taking the year off. We had done a big tour, 2003, almost 7 months worth of work.
Yeah.
They were taking some time. Plus, they were also, I think, kind of starting to work on the Long Road Out of Eden record.
Yep.
So I think that was the plan. So I got on Van Halen through the tour manager, who was at the time on the Eagles, was Harry Sandler.
Okay.
He was then the tour manager on Van Halen.
Damn.
And it was in 2004. And then Rob Kern was the production manager on that, he had been Alex's drum tech for 15 years.
Yeah.
And in 95, when I was with Collective Soul, we opened up for Van Halen for 3 months. Wow. So Rob got to know me.
Yeah.
Just casually. but still he knew who I was. So at the end of 2004, they suddenly the Eagles went to Australia and did a tour down there. They also recorded a DVD that got put out from down there, from Melbourne. But the Van Halen, I was on the Van Halen thing. I tried to get myself off of it.
Yeah.
To go back to work for Timothy and Don, but the Van Halen side of it wouldn't have it.
Right.
So that's where I kind of, I don't want to say lost my gig, but
yeah,
no longer had the Eagles gig.
Right.
At that point.
Right.
And I spoke with Timothy, and he had no problem.
Sure.
With, he wanted me back, but he also understood the thing. I didn't actually talk to Don, but he heard this, he got the same information.
Right.
And it was, it's just what it was.
Right. Right.
In 2005, there was an opening on his solo crew.
Got it.
And that's why I worked for Frank Symes and Lance Morrison.
Okay.
On his solo act.
Yeah.
Stewart's guitar tech at the time was fine with both organizations. So there was that's why I didn't jump into Stewart, but I got back in the fold with those guys.
Yeah. What are let's just geek out for a second. All right. Cause I'm a guitar guy. So can we talk instruments for a little bit?
We can try. We can try, because I get a bad rap from people, because to me, the most valuable guitar that any guitar player that I work for has is the one he needs next. So I catch a lot of flack from some people about, why don't you know what year that Strat is?
Yeah.
And what size the frets are? I don't know. But go ahead. Let's see what we can do.
Well, what my question was going to be, talk to me about the Eagles collection that goes out on the road.
Oh my gosh.
Is it pretty insane?
It's very insane. We use Ultra Case guitar vaults, 8-space vaults. Mm-hmm. I've got 3 full vaults and another handful of guitars in a trunk just for Stewart.
Wow.
Joe Walsh has 3 or 4 vaults depending on what we're doing.
Yep.
Just for him.
Yep.
Glenn and now Deacon, his son, carries 2 vaults. One of electrics, one of acoustics. Timothy's got a vault of basses. Don now is at the point where he's got a vault of his own guitars. And when Bernie Ledden was out with us, he had a vault and a half of stuff.
Wow.
Vince Gill, it's incredible. The collection he has out with him. There's easily close to 100 guitars.
Man.
I don't know. Joe's way over the top, in as much as he'll walk in with 3 or 4 guitars that he saw at a music store.
Right.
And give them to his guitar tech, Mark Reese, and say, I want to play these for the for sound check or the show.
Right. Right.
Mark looks at him and goes, okay. And he'll start and Joe's not afraid to, hey, give me some strings and some tools. I'll change some strings.
Really? He'll jump right in there?
Oh yeah. Yeah. He'll jump in. The guy I worked for on Seger, Mark Chatfield. Yeah. Same thing. He owned Cowtown Guitars for a long time. And I think he's actually back involved with it now. Not 100% sure. But yeah, it's incredible. Stewart's got a 66 Strat that he got as a teenager. I think it was his first real guitar. We got a couple of, I've got a 62 SG Junior, 64 Special. Mm-hmm. We've had a 330 from the 60s.
Wow.
That we've had out on the road. Some mid 70s 335. He's got, Ernie Ball. I've got Ernie Balls all over the place.
Yeah, I bet, man.
Sports, silhouettes, baritones.
Yep.
The 2 double necks that Stewart has are custom built by Ernie Ball for Stewart.
Jesus.
I mean, from what I understand, if it hasn't changed, there's only like 5 of those guitars out because Stewart has the 6-string neck on top.
Whoa.
As opposed to on the bottom, where most guys 6 strings on the bottom.
Yeah.
We've got the 12-string neck on the bottom. So Stewart has 2, a white one and a black one. Ernie has one. I think the guy who designed it, Dudley Gimple, who came up with the most amazing truss rod adjustment on the Ernie Balls. He's got one, and I think they sold one to somebody as a special order.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. Dudley, when I got introduced to him, I said, are you the guy, are you familiar with the truss rod adjustment on those? No? The bottom of the where the body and the neck meet, it looks like a little Tinker Toy round knob.
Okay, yeah.
And there's no truss rod cover. You just put something in one of the holes and turn it left or right.
Wow.
And they react. And I asked him, I said, was this your idea? He goes, yeah, pretty much. I kind of made it work for us. And I said, you got to let me hug you.
Right.
Because it's the best thing.
Damn.
I mean, it's, but yeah, so I've got those running out all over the place.
So what, and then talk to me about amps.
For Stewart, 2 PV Classic 50 4x10s.
Okay.
Pretty much, I mean, it was not my opinion when I started working for him, but one of the most rock solid combos on the road. I send it in every 2 years or so for some service, just to have somebody look over it, just fix cold solder joints and change the tubes and do the bias and send it back to me. And they rock.
Wow.
Yeah. I hope I haven't jinxed myself now. I better knock wood.
You mentioned Joe. I saw him open for Tom Petty last summer.
Right.
And I saw his 1 or 2 of his vaults out there. There's a lot going on, even with his solo show.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's great.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of stuff sort of in your off time in terms of quote unquote continuing ed with guitars and learning new things?
Yeah, I read.
Yeah.
I pick up magazines and all that stuff, and I keep in touch with friends about stuff. But yeah, I mean, and for a while when I first moved to Michigan, I went around to some local music stores and said, hey, this is what I do. I can't become your permanent repair guy, but you want me to come up and change strings? I'd almost do it for free just to keep busy.
Yeah.
And it worked for a little while, and then I was working with one guy a bunch, and then he said, yeah, I don't need you this week. We're pretty slow. It's quiet. And so I stopped by the store because I had left some tools in his shop, and I went in the back and found a stack of dead strings in his trash. And I was like, yeah, I thought you said you were quiet, and found out that I had built his business up, and then he was just doing his string changes himself.
Wow.
Not that big a deal. It didn't,
right.
It didn't rob any money out of me, but
sure.
Yeah. And I have some friends around here, family that play. So someone's always going,
how do I do this?
Your granddaughter got to your youngest granddaughter got to your oldest granddaughter's guitar and pulled 3 strings off. All right, I'll be over.
Yeah,
Go fix it. Stuff like that.
That's the thing, man. And I've brought this up on the show before. I'm buddies with Doug Redler, Rich Robinson's guy.
Oh yeah.
And he's been around a lot of people. And sometimes back when I first met him, he was working at 30th Street Guitars in the city, in between gigs, and he doesn't anymore. And but I always thought that was amazing because that happens a lot, and it's like as just a regular, customer. It's kind of like you never know who's back there working on your guitar. I mean, you could have Don Henley, Sammy Hagar's guys back there working on your guitar. And it's like, holy shit, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty cool, man.
It could happen.
Tell me what your day looks like with that many instruments on a big tour like that. How do you get through it all?
Well, honestly, Stuart's he's not a sweater kind of guy.
Yep.
His skin chemistry is he doesn't turn strings black overnight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I worked for Paul Westerberg, which come to think of it may not be on there.
No, it's on there.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah.
He had a guitar player named Dave Minahan. He's out of Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Dave had the most acidic, nasty skin chemistry I've ever seen. And we were playing during the summer, so there was a lot of sweating going on in hot clubs. But I would have to take a toothbrush and brush away just salt from Dave's sweating. And so he required string changes like every day.
Yeah.
Stuart's not quite like that, but I usually give a set of strings. Plus, because he might play that 66 Strat 4 times during the night. So he's not spending 2 hours on it.
Yeah.
So I will probably do 4 or 5 guitars a day, just to keep the cycle, just to keep it moving.
Yep.
And, I mean, honestly, there are some days where I don't have to do anything. It happens.
Yeah.
More times than not, it's minimum of 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 a day.
Yep.
Just change strings and stretch the heck out of them.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, and it's just, I honestly, I don't use a ruler. I know I've been working for Stuart long enough now. I can tell if the action's too high or the neck's out of adjustment.
Yeah.
Just by picking it up.
Yeah.
For him.
Yeah.
And like when I worked for Getty, his main one was a black jazz bass.
Yep.
At sound check, he would tell me what he thought. And then after sound check, every other bass got matched to wherever that one was set.
Wow.
And that was using a ruler and a gauge and the whole deal. Stuart's, I mean, I've been working for him long enough now. It's just not the way it is.
Right.
I can pretty much do it by feel.
Yep.
Just by touch. So, yeah, that's about it. I mean, his amps go up. He's got his pedal board rig, which is 2 pedal boards jumped together just because he can't have an 8-foot long pedal board.
Yep.
So I've got the 2 pedal boards. His wireless lives on the pedal board in a rack that was custom built for him by, I think it was A&S, but it was there before I got there.
Uh-huh.
So he's got his wireless and then a tuner underneath it, which he doesn't use much, but it's there if he needs it. And then he's got his pedals. So he set that. And then once those with the Eagles, most of the arena, well, not most, the arena tours, it's a rolling stage.
Right.
So you set up on one end of the arena. When the lighting guys and sound guys have got their side done, we roll the stage into place and then set up guitar worlds.
So you guys travel with your stage and everything?
Yeah. Yep.
How many? Yep. There must be a pretty big crew going out.
Yeah, I mean, that on average, it's about, without counting drivers and band entourage, it's about 50 people.
Wow. Yeah.
depends on the video production, and
Right.
it'll between four. I mean, you could probably safely say 40 people easy without drivers and whatnot.
I haven't looked yet. Is this upcoming run with them pretty big?
Yeah, there's I think there's like 40 dates on Polestar already.
Nice.
Starts mid-March for actual show dates.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing, I think it's into August or September on Polestar. I haven't looked in a couple of days.
Yeah.
But it should go well into the fall.
Nice.
Hopefully.
Nice. So what do you do in February?
Nothing.
Right. What's February look like? You go for rehearsals?
Yeah. Out to LA.
Yep. And they put everybody up somewhere out there, and you guys go to a facility and rehearse all day, and
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, their work ethic is pretty amazing for guys that have been doing this for as long as they have been.
I can imagine.
I mean, if it's a 10 o'clock call for the, or 11 o'clock for the band, whatever, they're there.
Yeah.
I mean, they are there on time, ready to go.
Yeah. And how late do they?
Till 6. And they'll put in 7-8 hours a day.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you get lunch in there, you get a break here, right
sure,
there, but
sure.
But
Wow.
just because they're taking a break or the music's taking a break,
Doesn't mean you're taking a break.
exactly, especially in rehearsals.
Right.
That's what people don't. They think, you're in the building for 30 days, or whatever, and
Right. Right. How long is this rehearsal going to be?
not really sure.
Okay.
It's got to be over by March 8th for the trucks to get from the West Coast to Indianapolis
Right.
for the first show.
Right.
So, I mean, it's probably going to be 3, almost 4 weeks. That's kind of average.
Yeah.
Then
What's your favorite part of the night?
load out. Isn't that the standard answer? Please tell it's not the first time you heard that.
It's not the first time I've heard that.
Okay.
But
What did someone once tell me? Let's get this show out of the way so we can do loadout.
right. Right. Is that true? Is that your favorite part of the night? Or all joking aside, is there, do you get the butterflies before the first song kicks in or what?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, we've just done a line check. And sometimes when we do an evening with, we don't really do a line check because there's been no opening act.
Right.
The audio guys will go around and just tap the mics, make sure nothing's gone crazy.
Yep.
But I still go up there on stage with an electric guitar, just chunk the pedals all the way around, go up there with an acoustic, make sure we're good, that my amps are set right. You do your last minute checklist. And yeah, there's still the butterflies. That first song gets going and things start rolling. One of the things that I like the organized chaos of a show.
Yeah.
Especially with a group like the Eagles, where like Don Henley's lead singing with a guitar, lead singing without a guitar, playing percussion, playing drums. The guys, the 2 keyboard players that play with the guys will bounce back and forth between keyboard risers, where one's a grand piano, a proper acoustic grand piano with electronics in it and a synth, and then the other side is a B3 and some other synths.
Yeah.
Please don't ask me what they are because
No.
I can't tell you.
I want to ask.
That's keyboards.
Right.
And it's just and everybody's moving around from place to place. Guys, if Timothy's singing lead on a song, he doesn't sing on his position where he might be singing harmonies.
Right.
He'll sing down center. So there's a lot of movement and all that stuff. And to me, that's just, it's just so cool when it all works and it's dead on, and it, you have 15 seconds of an interlude music that's playing, and the lights are off, and it's a total blackout, and then the lights are going to come back on, and people are going to be in different places.
Yeah.
And the crowd doesn't, most of the crowd can't see what's going on.
Right.
And the next song starts, and it's totally different than it was at the end of the last song. And that's pretty cool to me.
Absolutely.
And I do like Loadout, because not just the fact that the day's over, but that's part of the gig.
Right.
We get Eagles run, it's a full semi full of backline with spares and everything else. It's front to back, top to bottom. It's not packed as horrible as some tours I've been on, but it's packed pretty well.
Yeah.
And when you can get from the show going down, and it doesn't happen every night because of your pushes and all the other variables that go into it, but you can get out with a backline that big and be off the loading dock in an hour.
That's pretty good.
A shower in an hour and 10 minutes.
Damn. All that out in an hour? That's pretty good, man.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. Sometimes it's a little longer. Sometimes it's quicker.
Yeah.
It all depends on where's the loading dock. Who are the hands? But I mean, we've had pretty much the same nucleus of that backline crew since like 2006. Some a little longer.
I was going to say, are there guys and gals on that crew that go back way, way back?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep. Keyboard tech's been there since I started in 2003. Up until last year, Glenn's tech, Victor was there from 2001. Drum techs, there's been couple of changes, but still, we had the same guy for 7 years.
Yeah.
Timothy's bass tech started in 2004 when I couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. He's still there. Mark Reese Joe's tech is 2004. And just for the record, it's Bobby Carlos is Timothy's tech.
Got it.
Since I'm dropping names.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was another name. Hit the floor. Sorry. Someone out there will get that joke. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. I always say I love my job because it doesn't suck.
Yeah.
Do you like your job? Yeah, it doesn't suck.
Yeah, it's pretty good, man.
But I mean, when you've got all these people working together, you're a team. You can look across the stage at someone and know that he's missing something or something's not right because you worked with them for so long.
Sure.
And it goes way beyond that. I mean, Don Henley's road manager, Tony Taby, has been with them for like 40 years.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's got to be people in that group that go way, way back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Glenn's road manager was a guy named Tommy Nixon. Again, from the start.
Lifers.
I mean, yes, very much so. And it goes beyond into other people on the crew.
Sure.
I mean, the video director, Dave Neugebauer, has been with them for almost as long as I have.
Wow.
Maybe longer, because I think he actually started, before he became a director, he was a cameraman. Mm. So I think he was on Hell Freezes Over as a cameraman. So yeah, if they like what you do, mm-hmm. You've got a job.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
that's super cool. A lot of young blood.
Some. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Some. It's you get a lot more of the young blood through like the audio companies now,
right?
And the lighting guys, the lighting companies, and the video guys.
Yeah.
Not too much. Not too much young blood in the backline or production, but I wouldn't rule out couple of production assistants that were younger.
Yeah. What you got? Any advice for young people starting out?
Yeah, learn a trade. Stay out. Don't take my gigs. No, I mean, you gotta have some thick skin, because, I mean, I've told people, oh, hey, can I meet the band? You know, you think any chance that you can introduce me to somebody after the show? They go, listen, you got to understand. We could have a great show. Guy goes backstage, and there's a message from someone from home. Now he doesn't want to be bothered with anybody. Doesn't have to be bad. It's just something else to do.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, it falls on us as well.
Mm-hmm.
Guy doesn't have a good day, or whatever, 100 things that could be going on that affect our lives too.
Right.
So you got to be able to figure out what's heat of the moment. I mean, Sammy Hagar fired me 4 times.
Did he really?
Yeah. Twice during a show, during shows, once after a show, and once just as a joke. You know? But you figure it out.
Yeah.
It's heat of the moment.
Right.
The end of the show, come here, I'm sorry. You know, I had the same thing happen with the guys from Collective Soul, with the singer Ed, who was like a brother, who to this day is like a brother to me. We still keep in touch. I see him once or twice a year. When they anywhere near my home, we have carte blanche. Me, my wife, our family, whatever we need.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but you know, he and I had a 3 or 4 day period where we didn't talk to each other, and then finally got in a position where we could look at each other and go, I'm sorry, man, I didn't mean it. Well, of course you didn't. But, you know, I mean, you got to be able to figure out what's heat of the moment and what's not.
Right.
So thick skin, you don't know it all. You don't. I don't care how long you've been doing this. If you think you know it all, your time's up.
Yeah.
Because you just don't.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yep.
And early is on time, and on time is late.
That's right.
So if the show starts at 8, you can't walk in at 8 because it starts at 8. You have to be ready ahead of time.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you, Opie.
That's it, man.
One more name. Oh, dropped it.
All right, I'm going to ask you one last question. Then I'm going to let you go. Until I possibly see you on an Eagles show, East Coast maybe.
Buy a ticket.
I'm going to look at the list and see what we got.
Okay.
I'll be the guy standing down front yelling for a pick.
Yeah. Well, you're in Connecticut, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a Hartford date, but
the Xfinity Center.
we can talk about that off Senate.
Yes.
I don't. You're asking me the name of a venue?
Yeah.
Kidding, right?
How about the name of a loading dock? I bet you probably know those better, right?
Right.
All right. Let's say it's your last gig years from now. Many more fruitful years from now. It's your last tour, your last gig, your last time, stepping off the bus.
Right. That's going to be sad.
That's going to suck, right?
I've made my wife pull over into a mall near my house because there was a bus parked in it. And walked up to the bus so I could hear the generator and knock on the door and see if there was anybody in it. I have.
That's pretty good, dude. I like the shit. I almost want to end on that, but I'm not going to.
So ask the question.
All right. The question is this, man. Last tour, last one. What do you hope you've left behind?
Nothing. You can't leave anything on the bus. Are you kidding?
Not specifically on the bus.
Oh, I know.
Maybe you left your laundry on the bus for some poor kid to do.
No. What do I hope I've left behind? I don't know. I just hope people think that I did the best, that I did a good job, and the people I took care of, that I took care of well. And I haven't left any IOUs behind, whether they're mine or someone else's.
Right.
No, seriously. I mean, I just, hope that when people think of my name or they say my name, that it brings a smile to their face.
That's awesome. Where's Charley come from?
Okay, you got another 5 minutes? No, I'm just kidding. 1994, Skip Gildersleeve, working for his Collective Soul. He was their tour manager, hired as their tour manager. He calls me up and he goes, "Hey, I'm at my 4th gig today with this band Collective Soul, and their crew is made up of friends from home. No one's ever been on the road before. We're still having gear FedExed that was left behind.
Oh, Jesus.
What are you doing? Are you working?" I said, "No, I'm not working. Yes, I'll come out." So when I got there, there was this huge Elvis theme going on in the band. They had a picture of Elvis in his later years on the laminate. Singer's name is Ed. Everybody was calling him E. He was his girlfriend at the time. His name was Stephanie. He was calling her Scylla. Right?
Yeah.
So if you know anything about Elvis, the guy who was his right-hand man was Charlie Hodge.
Yeah. Was that
because
Red?
I became I was Ed and Ross. Ross was the lead guitar player.
Yep.
Ross Childress. So I was Ed Roland and Ross's guitar tech. Since I became Ed's right-hand man, instead of being Charlie Hodge, I just became Charlie.
Nice. And it stuck for all these years, huh?
Yep, it stuck. Those guys, when I told you my mom would come out to shows and they go, "Oh, we love having Charlie work." And they go, "Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, we mean Steve." And she'd go, "No, when he's here, he's Charlie. When he's home, he's Steve."
That's awesome.
So that's where Charlie came from. And I started CGS, which at the time was Cohen's Guitar Service. And then I went, "No, it sounds fine."
Yeah.
Charlie's Guitar Service it just was there.
Yeah.
And that's where Charlie came from, was the Collective Soul guys.
That's awesome.
And Skip.
Right.
And Skip.
Right.
So
cool, man.
Yeah.
Steven, thank you so much for your time. Charlie, thank you for your time.
No worries, Larry.
I appreciate it, man. And I hope to see you out there.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
You know how to reach me. I see what you did there, right?
You like that?
Is this? Are we still on the record?
We're still rolling.
Oh, never mind then. I'll tell you something off the record.
All right. In the meantime, my man.
Seriously, this was fun.
Good. I'm glad you liked it. All right, dude. You be safe. You be well out there.
Thank you. I will do my best.
All right, there it is, folks. Stephen Charlie Cohen, guitar tech to the stars. Don't forget, next week we got episode number 85 with Lucy Barankova, front of house, tour manager, production manager. We filmed it at her place. It's going to be awesome. And in the meantime, you can follow us at Twitter, Facebook, SoundCloud, Instagram, YouTube. All is Roadie Free Radio. Send me a note. I want to hear from you. That's info@roadiefreeradio.com. In the meantime, my friends, y'all be safe out there.